Okay, so the Eagles just took an absolutely unacceptable loss to the Atlanta Falcons in which they straight up threw the game away, or dropped the game in Saquon Barkley's case, and while both he and cornerback Darius Slay took the blame for the loss and their mishaps, it wasn't just one or two plays that cost them the game, as the Eagles struggled in multiple areas, including defensively, where the run defense and pass rush were non-existent, and the biggest culprit was probably Bryce Huff, as the big offseason signing was a no-show yet again for the Birds. Meanwhile, Nick Sirianni called out the offense for their red zone struggles and made it clear that they just have to be better, while we also got a not-so-positive update on A.J. Brown's injury, and Jalen Hurts sent a very clear and important message to the team after the game. So let's break down everything from the Eagles' heartbreaking Week 2 loss, starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan, and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And let's at least start off with some positivity, as Monday night was a special night for a couple of all-time Eagles, one in Super Bowl hero and Philly legend Nick Foles, who officially signed a contract to retire as a Philadelphia Eagle. He also held a press conference hours before the game where he gave a nice retirement speech, and of course he was also honored during the game, so that was awesome to see. And then you also got Jason Kelce, who was back in Philly for this game, firing up the Philly fans along with Nick Foles and fellow Philly legend Fletcher Cox, and he was also just dancing, having a good time before the Monday night matchup. And then he was of course also on the Monday night broadcast pregame at halftime, and then for the most of the second half he was in the booth, and I think he did an overall great job and provided some valuable insights. So overall it was really cool to see these two legends back in Philly, and one of the positives from the night for sure. But that being said, in hindsight, there were far more negatives. And that started even before the game, as on Sunday, A.J. Brown was officially downgraded from questionable to out for this Monday night matchup, meaning the Eagles offense would be missing who I think is their best player. And the news got even worse during the game, as during a mid-game report from Lisa Salters, she mentioned that she spoke to Brown, and while he said that he doesn't think the injury is too serious, he did apparently say that he expects to miss a couple weeks with the injury, which obviously isn't good in itself, but it gets even worse with what happened in this game and the fact that the Eagles have to play both the Saints and the Bucs on the road the next 2 weeks. So after the game, Nick Sirianni was asked about AJ's injury in this report, and this is what he said.
Nick, on the broadcast, they said AJ's going to miss a few weeks. Is that your?
We'll see. I don't we'll see. I don't know that yet. I won't give you that information yet. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how that goes.
So that's typical Sirianni. I mean, he really didn't give us any information there, but if AJ does end up missing the next couple weeks, that's obviously a horrible thing for this Eagles offense. And in this game, you could 100% feel his presence being missed, as it just looks so much harder for the offense to move the ball through the air. They weren't able to score on their first 3 possessions in the game, and they really struggled to get much going. Now, the exception to that was the second drive, where the Eagles moved it all the way down the field into the red zone due to the fact that Saquon Barkley had started hot and had a few nice runs, but they got stopped on 3rd and 4 as Hurts rolled to his right and tried to hit Johnny Wilson in the back of the end zone, but it fell incomplete. And then Nick Sirianni and the Eagles opted not to take the points and kick the field goal, and they instead went for it on 4th and 4, and nothing got open, so Jalen Hurts' pass to Dallas Goedert fell incomplete. And this decision to not kick the field goal ended up having major ramifications at the end of the game. Now, Nick Sirianni talked about this, among other plays, after the contest was over, and it certainly seems like he would like to have this decision back.
Are there decisions you would have done differently in hindsight?
Sure. Like anytime you go and you don't get points on a drive in the red zone, 4th and 3 in the first one, you're like, well, should I have went for that there? Anytime it doesn't work out, that's why I'm sitting in this seat, the head coaching seat. Like, I got to be ready for the consequences of whether it works or whether it doesn't work. And in that scenario, first off, obviously it didn't work. So obviously I'm going to second guess myself in those scenarios that it doesn't. All I can do is go back and review those and say, did I like what we did here? Would we do it again, or would we change directions next time? Everything's thought out of what we want to do, but that's this game of football. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and in those cases it didn't. And so I got to rethink it.
Overall in this game, I was pretty much fine with Sirianni's decision making outside of this play. Like, I get Nick is always aggressive, and they were so close to the end zone here after a good drive, so they obviously wanted to cap it off with a touchdown, and the score was also just 0-0 at this point, but I honestly think he just got too over aggressive. There was really no reason to not just take the points there, and again, this decision wound up being really costly in the end. So Nick definitely does deserve some blame for this close loss. But who I think deserves the most blame is the defense, as they really just had an overall overall rough night in multiple facets. One, the tackling again was pretty poor, as there was a ton of missed tackles throughout the night that resulted in extra yardage or big plays for the Falcons that were just unacceptable. But what I think was much worse was the Birds' run defense, as after they struggled in week 1 against the Packers' rushing attack, many were hoping to see a much improved showing from the Eagles' run defense on Monday night, but they didn't get it, as they were just as bad against Bijan Robinson and the Falcons, as they gave up over 150 yards on the ground and more than 5 yards per carry and almost 7 yards per carry to Bijan. And there were a couple of drives where it was just play after play after play where the Falcons would run the ball and the Eagles just couldn't do anything to stop it, and it was super demoralizing. Now, they did make a couple nice plays against the run, including CJ Gardner-Johnson's incredible play in the fourth quarter to fly in and just stand up Bijan Robinson on 4th and 1, which again was just an absolutely unreal play and an awesome hit by the safety, and it looked like that was going to end up being the play of the game, but it obviously wasn't, and we'll get into all that later. But first, I gotta talk about how on top of the run defense being terrible, the pass rush was awful too. I mean, Kirk Cousins stayed upright pretty much all night long. The Falcons' offensive line really dominated the line of scrimmage in both the run and pass game, and none of the guys on the Eagles' defensive line really were able to get much pressure consistently. I mean, there were a few occasions where somebody would get pressure or they would collapse the pocket a bit, and Milton Williams did get a huge third down sack in the red zone in the third quarter, but other than that, nobody on the defensive line really made their presence felt or made a true impact throughout the course of this game, and it was just unacceptable. And to me, there was nobody worse than edge rusher Bryce Huff, and we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content coming throughout this entire season, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on this video. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, getting back to Bryce Huff, as I was saying, last week he struggled, but I did say, you know what, it's early, it was just one game, I'm not going to overreact or be too critical, but now here we are 1 week later, and I'm officially worried about Huff. Not because he didn't get a ton of pressures or sacks or put up great numbers, but just because of the way he looked throughout the course of this game. I mean, first off, I said he didn't put up great numbers. He actually didn't put up any numbers, as he didn't record a single stat in this game, and in both the pass rush and run defense, he just looked terrible, flat out. Like, against the pass, he couldn't really generate any pressure. There was actually one play where I watched him get stood up by a tight end for like 5 seconds, and then against the run, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, he could not set the edge to save his life, and the Falcons knew it because they kept running it to his side and getting around the edge. And the bottom line is this: the Eagles are paying this guy over $50 million through 3 years, and they're not paying him to play like this. So I get it, it's still early, but he better figure it out quick, because the Eagles are counting on him, and he cannot continue to do this throughout the rest of the season. And something else that's got to get figured out, similarly to last year, is the Eagles' red zone offense, as there were a couple occasions in this game when the Birds got down there and just failed to punch it in, and that cannot happen, because they left a ton of points on the board there, and Nick Sirianni seems to recognize that the red zone offense was an issue on Monday, as he called it out after the game.
Where we struggled on offense was more so in the red zone, because we moved the ball well. So it was those struggles in the red zone that we got to get corrected, because you got to score points down there. And sometimes it was because, you know, like I said, like you guys have said, I went for it in those scenarios. Sometimes we stopped ourselves.
The red zone offense is certainly going to have to be a lot better moving forward. Obviously, not having AJ really hurts, and it'll surely be better when he returns, but the Eagles are still going to have to find ways to consistently get points down there with him probably out a couple more games. Now, I will say one player who I thought was really good in this game was Jalen Hurts, as throughout the game, he just consistently made plays and really just put the Eagles in position to win the game. I mean, he was smart with the football, he was accurate on his throws, and he even put the Eagles on his back at times running the ball, especially in that second quarter where he converted a 4th down with a huge 23-yard run, and then a 3rd down with a huge 15-yard run. And he capped off that drive with a beautiful touchdown throw to Devontae Smith over 3 defenders. So that was certainly a moment where Hurts both put the team on his back and really was the difference maker that the Eagles just need him to be for them to get where they want to go. But he also clearly seems to have his elite running ability back, which he was lacking last year due to an injury. So that was definitely awesome to see. And Hurts continued to make nice plays throughout the game, both on the ground in the run game and in the pass game, making nice throws to Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, and even Britton Covey, who had 6 catches in this game. So shout out to him. And again, even with all the bad, Jalen Hurts put the Eagles in position to win this ball game. And with 1:51 left to go, all the Eagles had to do was get a 1st down on 3rd and 3, and with the Falcons having no timeouts, the game would have been over. But Kellen Moore decided to get aggressive with this play call, and instead of running the ball and ensuring the clock would keep running even if they didn't get the 1st down, they passed the ball on a Jalen Hurts play action rollout, and the play actually worked well as Saquon got wide open and Hurts gave him a great ball, but just uncharacteristically, quickly, Saquon dropped the pass, stopping the clock and giving the Falcons an extra 40 seconds to work with, while the Eagles also had to settle for a field goal, putting them up just 6 points. And this is where the defense just really did not show up, as in just 3 plays, the Falcons were down at the Eagles' 12-yard line, and 3 plays later, they were in the end zone, as Drake London routed up star veteran cornerback Darius Slay, who was caught looking at Kirk Cousins in the backfield, and he caught the pass for the touchdown. And the extra point for Younghoe Koo gave the Falcons the lead, so just like that, in the matter of a minute, the Eagles had blown the lead in unacceptable fashion, and 2 of their biggest stars were largely to blame. Now, the good thing is both Saquon Barkley and Darius Slay took accountability after the game, as they pretty much each took the blame for the team's eventual loss.
Dropped the ball. Let my team know that. Shouldn't have put the defense in that position. Made that catch, game's over. Relax, get back to my old habits, and just gotta go back and get back to work.
Were you surprised with the play call? Did you expect a running play or?
No. Once I knew it, I thought it was a great play call. I just gotta make the catch.
Oh, very disappointed. Definitely with myself at the end of that game. Yeah, I'm hurt with that one, man. That's my dad. Last play for sure my fault. Eyes in the backfield. Just trying to do more than I should have been doing. Man, just a concept guy. I'm a reader, I'm a smart guy. So they kind of did a lot of things out of their tendencies with that route concept. I seen 2 people go in. Usually it's like, it's a tendency like, everybody kind of flowing back that way. So I jumped inside too fast and had my eyes in the backfield. That was bad at that. And then, he broke out. So it's like, yeah, I that up bad. So, yeah, that play right there for sure is on me.
I gotta at least give these guys credit for owning up to what they did wrong and just taking accountability for the respective screw-ups that cost the Eagles big time. I mean, Saquon just has to make that catch to end the game there, and he knows that. Should Kellen Moore have called a run play? Probably, but he was open and he just has to catch it, and then Slay can't be caught looking in the backfield like that, and he also knows that, and he took the blame again on social media after the game, tweeting out, "That's on me, Philly, I owe y'all one." So, again, just shout out to him for taking accountability, but I also don't think it's quite fair that either one of those 2 plays or both those plays completely lost the Eagles the game. I mean, it was a bunch of different things that they just didn't do well enough throughout the game that lost it. For example, the decision to not kick the field goal earlier in the game was really costly, or the complete lack of pass rush or the poor run defense. I mean, the thing that I was most pissed about at the end of that game was the fact that the Falcons on their last drive got all the way down to the Eagles' 12-yard line in just 3 plays. They got huge chunks on every single play, and the pass rush, again, was non-existent throughout that entire drive. Like, that's just unacceptable. It cannot happen, and it reminded me way, way too much of last year's defense. And really, in the end, all those negative things that the Eagles just didn't do well enough compounded. And after Jalen Hurts made his one and only mistake of the game, which of course had to be a game-ending interception, they all led to the team's first loss of the season, bringing the Eagles to 1-1. And regarding this Hurts pick, I honestly think there's 2 sides to it. One is that, in my mind, the Eagles really only needed 15 yards, so I don't think it was wise to try and push the ball down the field into good coverage with pressure in his face like he did. But also, if he takes a sack there, the game's pretty much over, so I still think it was a bad throw and a bad choice to end the game on, but I do understand it, and that also doesn't take away from the fact that Hurts was just awesome in this game otherwise, even though everyone's still probably already trying to blame him for it. But at the end of the day, I mean, that really doesn't matter. Like, what matters is that the Eagles took a loss to a team that they shouldn't have lost to, due to a combination of serious issues, mainly defensively, and also by making mistakes that they shouldn't have made and just completely throwing the game away at the end. So it's certainly a tough loss for them to take, and it just sucks, but they can't dwell on it for too long, as the Eagles gotta learn from it and move on. And Jalen Hurts actually sent a message to the team after the game in the locker room, pretty much just echoing the same thing.
Keep pressing forward. Keep your head up. At the end of the day, we have to intensely control the controllables. And I think when I look at this game, there are a lot of things that we could have controlled fundamentally in our details, the little things that we just didn't take advantage of. And so this is the opportunity for us to learn from it. I think we've taken big steps in terms of coming together as a unit, and we need to continue on that journey and learn from this. And I think it's a great test for us.
The Eagles are definitely going to have to heed Jalen's words. because now, after losing this game, they got a really rough 2-game stretch before their early bye coming up, as they face the red-hot 2-0 Saints next week and then the 2-0 Tampa Bay Bucks the week after, both on the road. And again, losing this game was big because now if you do take 2 losses here, you're 1-3 instead of 2-2. So you absolutely have to split these games, and if the Eagles want to win this game this week against the Saints, they're going to have to be a lot better and make some major adjustments. So we'll see if they're able to do that this week. Again, overall, I just thought this loss was absolutely horrible. Like, there's no excuse for it. They should have won this game. They had it in hand and they just threw it away at the end. And there are a couple serious issues that I think could be a problem moving forward, but I'm just trying not to panic. It's only been 2 weeks, so I'm trying to stay calm, but again, it's definitely not easy to just completely remain calm after a loss like that. But if you guys don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage coming throughout the rest of the season, including leading up to this next game against the Saints, then make sure you guys subscribe and also, again, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And also leave a like down below because that really does help me out a ton. Just leave a like to show some support. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes on this video today. And also leave a comment down below. Just what were your thoughts on the Eagles' first loss of the season? And if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this out right here. And now that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.